Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time since Port Huron, Michigan City Manager James Freed filed his anti-defamation lawsuit against the ICMA, he has made recorded remarks on video about this case. This occurred yesterday at the Port Huron City Manager's Luncheon when he addressed employees. It was also during an awards ceremony. And he gave about 20 minutes worth of remarks specifically about the ICMA COVID vaccine mandate issue. Now, it was the final 30 seconds or so of those remarks that really hit home, and I'm going to play those for you here in a second. And then after I play those 30 seconds of remarks where he addresses the ICMA CEO Marc Ott and staff by name, I'm going to offer up a translation of what he really meant. And then we're going to play out about 4 minutes of his comments where he's really specifically talking about the ICMA. Like I said, the whole remarks spanned about 20 minutes, and I'll put a link to the full video so you can watch that on your own. But like I said, this is the first time since he's filed his anti-defamation lawsuit that you're going to see video remarks of James Freed talking about the case. I think you're going to enjoy it. And boy, are things starting to ramp up in ICMA land.
Today I want to talk to Marc Ott, Jessica, and Martha, and the ICMA Board of Directors. I am James Freed. I'm the City Manager of Port Huron. And on behalf of my family, my wife Jessie, Annie, and Lucy, we will see you next month here in Port Huron, and so will a jury of the American people.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Why the ICMA in its infinite wisdom decided to lock horns with James Freed and go to battle with this guy, I'm not sure, because we all know he's as serious as a shotgun blast to the chest, and we're going to see what happens in October when he takes ICMA to court on this whole situation. So here are about 4 minutes of his remarks specifically addressing the ICMA, and like I said, I'll put a link to the entire 20-minute speech in the notes.
I cannot have my little girls read that their father was unlawful, lacked integrity, and was dishonest when that was patently, provenly false information. I sent a retraction notice, my legal team did, to the ICMA. We said, you have got this all wrong. We will give you an opportunity to retract and correct your statement. They refused to do so. They refused to do so. I was left with the worst decision I ever had to make. I mean, I've never had to make something like this. I've never sued anyone in my life. Don't want to be litigious, you know. But I have a public censure, as if I'm, the last person in Michigan who was publicly censured was a guy who was embezzling, corrupting contracts. He's still in federal prison, I believe. Was the last person to be publicly censured under Tenet 3. So they wouldn't retract it, and so to protect my reputation, to redeem my reputation, and to protect my family and my ability to provide for my family. I hope to be the city manager here for a long time, but the truth is, things change. I could get walked out the door. Maybe I want to progress in my career, but I can't have that on my record, a false statement like that. So I filed a defamation and civil conspiracy lawsuit against the International City Managers and County Management Association because they refused to retract what was provenly false. For the last 2 years, they have fought very hard to get this case dismissed. They tried to get it moved to a federal court. That didn't work. They tried to get it dismissed at the state courts. That didn't work. They cannot get rid of this trial. This case. We are going to trial next month in October. The trial will begin. During the process of discovery, we uncovered exactly what we already knew. Sworn statements called interrogatories and depositions. The people who organized the censure against me had no idea that the OSHA ETS provided a testing option. They had no idea that I had the charter authority to make such a decision. In fact, they believed that when MyOSHA filed that false citation on us that we won, they believed that was MyOSHA citing me for violating the vaccine mandate. They had no idea. They testified that they didn't even review my appeal. They never did any investigation into the veracity of the statements I was making. They never even looked in to say for a moment, did we get it wrong? What they did was literally the legal definition of reckless disregard for the facts. More concerning, our discovery proved what we already feared, was that this was politically motivated hatchet job witch hunt. So, we are going to bring them to Michigan next month and put them in front of a jury. and we'll have the jury render a verdict. But I wanted to tell you what was going on, because it's going to be hard when you see what's this story about a trial on a vaccine mandate, because there's no vaccine mandate. But I want you to know that when I meant come what may, I meant three things when I said come what may in my email. One is there was a lot of pressure on those who were not getting vaccinated. If you remember, they were calling it the pandemic of the unvaccinated. And those who weren't getting vaccinated were selfish. And I knew that if I didn't implement a vaccine mandate, there would be some employees who were upset with me for that. And I understand that. But at the same time, I knew I had to protect individual freedom and the right to choose. The second thing I meant by come what may was cost. The cheapest, most cost-effective thing I could have done was implement a vaccine mandate. Because it's just get vaccinated or you're unemployed. Now I had to buy thousands of dollars in test kits. I had to pay thousands of dollars of a third-party firm to facilitate the testing, draft all this, and staff time to come do it. There's a tremendous cost to it. The third thing I meant by come what may is I knew that when I sent that email, I was making a decision that should no exemption be allowed, should no testing option is allowed, I would resign before I took those kind of civil liberties away from my employees. I would resign. After that email, the day after that email, ironically, a federal judge issued an injunction. And then just a few weeks later, the Supreme Court soundly struck down the OSHA ETS as unconstitutional, as we all knew it was. As we all knew it was. So there's your briefing on what's going to happen. Today I want to talk to Marc Ott, Jessica and Martha, and the ICMA Board of Directors. I am James Freed. I'm the city manager of Port Huron. And on behalf of my family, my wife Jessie, Annie, and Lucy, we will see you next month here in Port Huron, and so will a jury of the American people. My fellow citizens, now we get to go forward, grateful for our freedom, faithful to our cause, and confident in the greatest nation the world has ever seen. I want to say God bless all of you. God bless the great state of Michigan, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.